და ეხა კაპტუნეკა თქვენ რომ იცით ხოლმე რომ ის რა ქვია ხო ნობელის პრემიის ლაურეატი ნუ აშინებთ ამ ხალხს ნობელის პრემიის ლაურეატებიც იქნებიან და უკეთესებიც კიდე ანუ იმის მამინდა რომ ყველა ეს არ არის ის გადაულახავი ზონა უნდა დავიწყოთ და აუცილებლად ვიქნებით იქ სადაც ვიქნებით კარგით აბა დაქტორებით მადლობა თამნა ხა კაპტუნ კაჩავერთება შეგეცნობათ ალბათ და რაღაც მომენტში პირდაპირ ჩარხოს გააკეთებთ იმედი კარგით
ნახვამდის კიდევ ერთხელ დიდი მადლობა დიდი მადლობა მინდა გადაუხადო ჩვენ დამსწრე საზოგადოებას რომ გამონახეს დრო და ასევე ინტერესი ევროპული კვლევების საბჭოს მიმართულებით დღეს ჩვენი საინფორმაციო დღე ეხება Consolidator და advanced grantებს, რომელიც არის ერთ-ერთი ძირითადი, ესე ვთქვათ, ბრწყინვალე მეცნიერების სათავეში დგას Horizon Europe-ის სტრუქტურაში და ჩვენ შევეცდებით ჩვენ კოლეგებთან ერთად დეტალურად ვისაუბროთ მის კრიტერიუმებზე და მოთხოვნებზე, რომელიც საჭირო არის რომ შევიტანოთ განაცხადი. ჩვენთან ერთად არის სტუმარი, ბატონი სანდრო შელეგია, ალბათ სიამაყით ყველა ქართველი ამაყობს იმით, რომ ჩვენმა ქართველმა აიღო ეს მნიშვნელოვანი Consolidator Grant-ი და არის გამარჯვებული 2021 წლის და Consolidator Grant-ში ის შემოგვიერთდება ჩვენ ცოტა მოგვიანებით და თავის გამოცდილებას გაგვიზიარებს. ასევე ჩვენთან ერთად არის ბატონი Giuliano Scalzi. Hello Giuliano. Thank you for your time, for your support and I hope it will be not the last presentation during our ERC advantage, and I hope we will make more progress for Georgian scientists. And once again, I would like to thank you for your time and support, and I would like to give the floor to you. You can share your presentation and share your experience with other scientists, and thank you.
Thank you, Ekaterina, and thank you, Nino. It's nice to see you, although electronically. I had the pleasure to be in Georgia less than 1 month ago, actually. So it has been a really fantastic experience. So I wish to all Georgian scientists really successful submissions and application to the ERC, and indeed join the ERC adventure. I'm very happy also that one grantee, Sandro Shelegia, is presenting his experience. And you can address as many questions as possible to him when he will explain to you. Really, I'm sure he will give you very, very insightful hints and tips. Myself, I am Giuliano Scalzi, clearly Italian, expatriated in Belgium and working as co-coordinator in the European Research Council Executive Agency. I was myself a PhD, then a researcher, then a postdoc, and now for 8 years I've been working at the ERC. Before as a scientific officer, so I was dealing with the evaluation. So since the submission deadline until the grants are awarded, and I was sitting together with the panel. So my role of scientific officer was being present in the panel during both steps of the evaluation. And this is what I will talk about today. So some hints and tips on and some insights on the evaluation procedure. But nevertheless, I need to introduce also for the people that are maybe less acquainted with the ERC that there are we started in 2007. And as you can see from this slide, the budget has been increasing progressively within the framework programs of the European Commission. And now we are within Horizon Europe, and for the next 7 years, from 2021 to 2027, we have 16 billions. And for this year, 2.2 billions are allocated for the ERC calls. So it's quite a substantial budget. And what we have to offer, well, what we offer as a ERC, we offer grants, and clearly they are normally individual grants, and then I will show you in another slide two more grants that are a bit different out of the mainstream of the ERC. The first one is starting grant. It's for early career researchers, as you can see, from 2 to 7 years of experience since their completion of the ERC, so from the thesis. And then the size is 1.5 million, and then you can also receive up to 1 million of additional budget if it falls under specific categories. Consolidator Grant is for the mid-stage career researcher, and here again is not as early as the starting grantee, but still they need to show potential for independence, and the eligibility window for this grant is from 7 to 12 years past their PhD, and it's up to 2 million for 5 years, and always you can request an additional million if it falls under certain categories. And then we have the advanced grant, 2.5 million for 5 years for accomplished scientists who have to show a scientific track record of the last 10 years of impact research, basically. And also here is 2.5 million plus 1 million of additional budget can be requested if it falls under the categories that I will mention shortly. Then we have 2 more grants. The first one here on top is the Synergy Grant. I am co-coordinator actually of the Synergy Grant, but today, I will focus on the evaluation procedure of Consolidator Advanced. They are all more or less the same, only the eligibility window will change. But the Synergy Grant, as you can see, you can receive 10 millions plus 4 millions of additional budget, and the duration of the Synergy Grant is up to 6 years, and is given not to a single researcher, but to 2 to 4 researchers and their research groups. And the particular thing is that a researcher of this group can be based outside EU or associated country. Then, last but not least, we have the proof of concept. Is a smaller grant that is given to ERC grantee that in the framework of their project, of their ERC project, they demonstrate a potential for an innovation or a significant benefit, being it economic or societal, or they have maybe a new device that has been conceived through the project, and they can request additional 150,000 millions in order to create a proof of concept. So the name of proof of concept is quite self-explanatory. Now the additional funding. So this additional million for the main grants, starting and Consolidator and Advance, and for Synergy can be requested if it falls under 4 specific categories. The first one is startup costs for a principal investigator that needs to move from to the EU or associated country from elsewhere, from abroad. So this is the first category. Or you need to buy and purchase major equipment, or you need access to large facilities, or you need to do major field work, and you need and you have major experimental costs, but you have to exclude in this the personal costs that fall within the main budget, meaning for the Consolidator and Advance would be within the 2 million or the 2.5 million. And now the evaluation criteria. or better criterion, because it's excellence, but you can divide it into twofold: excellence of the research project and excellence of the principal investigator. So for the research project, you need to show that it has potential to break new ground, has the potential to be transformative. It has to have also potential for an impact, although if it shouldn't be immediate, it has to be just a potential. It has to be there, it has to be clear, but it cannot be perceived, because the majority of the project in fundamental sciences sometimes have significant outputs after 5 or maybe 10 years after the completion of the project. The proposal needs to have, though, a clever scientific approach. Also, this one is something really important that the evaluators care about a lot, and they look into the details. And then you have the excellence of the principal investigator. You need to show your intellectual capacity, creativity, and independent thinking, and commitment to the project. So you need to have there are minimum requirements that I'm sure Caterina, after my presentation, will tell you what are the minimum requirements both for Consolidator and Advanced. I will also mention them. So ERC offers grants for frontier science. So that can be interdisciplinary proposals. Some they can cross boundaries between different fields, or they cross-fertilize fields, or they are pioneering proposals that are addressing new questions. They may lead also to a new field of research, but the question is quite important, so it must be pioneering and quite hypothesis driven. And they should, or sometimes, propose to introduce unconventional, not innovative approaches, or either use approaches that are used in other fields or in other domains and apply them to your research question. So in the evaluation, the proposals are under the scrutiny of panels. And in the ERC, both for starting Consolidator and Advanced, we have 27 panels. They are divided into 3 domains. And the first domain is life science. We have 9 evaluation panels, as you can see here. You have 7 panels for the social science and humanities. And then you have 11 panels for physical sciences and engineering. So these panels try to cover all the field of science as much as possible. As you can see in red, there are panel SH7 and panel P11. Those 2 have been introduced very recently with the Horizon Europe. And each and every panel, in order to explain better the title of the panel and the field covered by the evaluators, the panel members, there are descriptors. You can see they are published. You can Google clearly ERC panel descriptors, and you will see in each and every panel how they cover the fields of the title of the panel. So, for example, I put here the example of the study of human past. So it's the history panel. But as you can see, there is classical archaeology, general archaeology, prehistory, modern and contemporary history. So there are panel members that try to cover all these descriptors. But these descriptors whatsoever, they don't mean that they are ERC priorities. Those are for the help of the applicant in order to better address and better wisely choose which is the best panel that fit the proposal. So when you are submitting a proposal, you have to have a clear look at the panel composition, the panel title, and the panel descriptors in order to better address the proposal. So it's the applicant that chooses the panel, and the panel is responsible for the evaluation of the proposal. So as you could see, the panel covers, it's very multidisciplinary. It covers various research topics. And those are further detailed in the descriptors. The proposal can be moved to other panels in some exceptional cases, and this happens because the evaluators realize that the proposal do not fully fit within the remit of the panel, and it's better for the sake of the proposal itself to be moved to the right panel. And this happens really in exceptional cases, only when there is a mistake of the applicant, or sometimes there is a proposal that falls between two panels, and while the PI choose one panel, in that particular case, the panel doesn't fully cover the topic of the proposal, and it's moved to another panel in which the topics of the proposal are better covered. There are, for example, some the LS1 panel of structural biology, and then the LS2 panel, which is the genomics proposal. Sometimes it may happen that there are representatives within a certain expertise. They better fit within one or the other panel, and there might be a case that the proposal might be transferred, but it's always for the best of the proposal, of the evaluation. There are also cross-panel or cross-domain proposals, meaning that there are proposals that effectively cover two panels, and in that case also the reviewers are from one panel and from another panel. So there are different panel members belonging to two panels that write a review in order to cover all the aspects of the proposal. So in each and every panel, there are around 15-16 panel members that are selected by the Scientific Council. They try to cover the thematic distribution of the descriptors. There are some composition rules. They need to respect some geography and gender rules. They need to have, for example, a certain percentage of the underrepresented gender. Normally, the panel members are contracted for 4 calls, but they participate every second year, meaning that they participate in the ERC evaluation in year 1, year 3, year 5, and year 7. So the second year they're normally not participating, and normally there is a renewal of 25% of the panel every year. And then there is also the role of the agency. There are not only panel members in the evaluation room, and there are the scientific officer. As I was offering technical support. I was the one knowing perfectly the rules and ensure that there is no conflict of interest whatsoever during the evaluation. So I was closely collaborating with panel members and panel chairs in the for example, helping them in the assignment of the proposal, and I try to ensure that there is no bias in the evaluation, gender bias or whatsoever bias that could be raised during a scientific discussion or the discussion of a particular proposal. And I also ensure that only the ERC criterion is applied. So these two bodies guarantee that the evaluation is based only on scientific quality. So every year we are around 1,400 panel members and around 600 days of meetings per year, and more or less 700 new projects that are granted by ERC every year. So in the proposal submission, when you're downloading, and I'm sure again Ekaterina will give you an explanation on that. You have to fill several forms. The form on the left is the part A. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. Maybe on the item number 3, which is budget and the resources description, but just because this part is added to the part B2 of the proposal, and then also the choice of the ERC keywords. Those are filled in the part A, which is a very administrative form. It's not for scientists. It's something that is very administrative. You have to fill in information, but this is important, choosing the right keywords for your proposal, because from this information we based also the allocation of evaluators to the proposal. And then you have the right part of this slide, which is the proposal, basically. So the two parts of which the proposal is composed of. So the part B1, it's a 9 pages document in which you have to write an extended synopsis of 5 pages, in which you have to explain the groundbreaking nature and also the feasibility of the project. And then you have 2 pages to explain of the curriculum vitae. There is a template in the submission platform, and then you have to write also the track record. And you can also fill in your funding ID, so the project that have been funded to you in your career. And this is part B1. Remember, part B1 is evaluated as step 1. Only part B1 is evaluated as step 1. Then we have part B2, which is the actual proposal, and this is evaluated always together with part B1, but at the second step of the evaluation. We will get to that. But the part B2 is the scientific proposal is 15 pages, in which you have to explain the state-of-the-art methodology, the resources. The resources are actually explained, as I said, in the budget and the resources description, but those are made available to the panel members in order for them to assess if the resources are fully justified. They are not micromanaging the budget. This is something very important that I need to explain. They see the budget in terms of resources, in terms of how many people are involved in the research, PhD, postdocs, and researchers. If the equipment is justified for the sake of the project, and they need to counter check it from the methodology. So. But they don't see, this equipment costs too much. I know other machines that are much cheaper than that, and they should go for that. They don't do that. They see if the equipment is reasonable and it's absolutely important and necessary to run the project. And this is part B2, and is evaluated only at the step 2 of the evaluation. Okay, so. When you're filling your application and your proposal, you can also have the possibility now to mention the hardship measures related to COVID-19. So in the context of the outbreak, we hope to leave behind our shoulders. The applicants can mention what negative effect had the COVID outbreak in their CV, basically. So it's more or less a similar approach that is used with the career breaks or, for example, unconventional career paths. So the panel members will see in the proposal that during the COVID, the output of the researcher was not as before for clear reasons. And this is assessed on a case by case. And this can be filled, as I said, in the proposal in a part B1 template. And then I will be brief on this. The gender equality plan, it's something that happens always after the evaluation, and this is something that the panel members don't have, but it's good to mention that when you get your grant, your institution needs to have a gender equality plan. But this is not mandatory at submission, but there will be a question in the submission form. But at the time of the grant, of course, you need to have it. One thing that is quite important is the DORA principle. So the Scientific Council of the ERC endorsed the DORA principle, which says that the journal impact factor is not accepted anymore among the field relevant bibliometric indicators. So during the evaluation, when the evaluators are assessing the output of a researcher, they are not checking anymore, and the scientific officer also instruct them not to check the impact factor among these bibliometric indicators. So this means that you can explain yourself what has been your contribution to a given research output by providing a short narrative description of the scientific importance of your research outputs and what was the role that you played in a given publication. And you can also mention everything that is aside, maybe something that is related to a bibliometric indicator, meaning a publication, but you maybe been involved in the organization of a workshop or conferences, etc. So any given output that shows excellence at this point is taken into consideration in order to better assess the researcher. So this is the evaluation structure. As you can see, as I said, it's a two-steps evaluation. In the step one, normally before the step one panel, the panel chair is liaising with the scientific officer and assign the proposal to along the panel members and eventually cross-panel reviewers, because a proposal bridge two more panels. So once this is done, there is a remote evaluation in which only panel members and cross-panel reviewers are involved, and they act as generalists. So they are not, let's say, necessarily experts of the field of the proposal. And this is the first hint. You need to write the part B1 in order to be understood by a generalist. So at this step, they are going to write reviews. So they are working remotely. And after all the reviews are collected, they meet in Brussels, and they discuss each and every proposal that have been submitted to their panel. And they start giving scores. For a proposal that is scored with an A, it passes to the step 2, so it's retained to the step 2. And where a proposal is scored B or a C, is rejected at step 1. So in that case, for a proposal scored with a B or a C, they might be restricted to submit in the following years. Meaning, if a proposal get a B at step 1, the PI cannot apply the following year. And if you get a C, the 2 following year, you can apply. So 3 years after, if you get a C, or 2 years after if you get a B. But for the proposal that get an A, there is a step 2 evaluation. There is a remote evaluation in which still panel members evaluate remotely the full scientific proposal, in this case, part B1 and part B2. And additionally, the proposal is sent out to external reviewers that are the real experts in the field and are nominated. They are nominated by the panel members. So additionally to the panel members, you have external reviewers. So your proposal is scrutinized by your potential proposal is scrutinized by around 6 to 8, a number of reviewers. after the remote evaluation has taken place, there is again a panel meeting in which all panel members come in Brussels, and here the applicant has the opportunity to defend the proposal, because there is the interview. So in this case, the applicant joins remotely. So for Consolidator and Advanced Grant, the panel members will be located in Brussels in a panel meeting room, but the PI has the chance to defend the proposal remotely. So using it's by video conference now. The interview is taking place by video conference. So at the end of the evaluation, step 2 evaluation, in which there is this collegial exchange between applicants and panel members, the panel members give a score A or B. The A, it's excellent, means that the proposal is excellent, and if it gets into the ranking range of the budget, gets granted. Otherwise, there are the A's that get into a reserve list or an unfunded A, but they still have an A. And then there are the proposals that are with a B score. They are not recommended for funding, and they are scored with a B. A B at the second step does not block you from applying the following year. So if you get a B at step 2, you have also enough feedback to improve your proposal and reapply for the following year. So the evaluation follows more or less this flow, and this is the same for Consolidator grants and the Advanced Grant. Previously, Advanced Grant were not applicants were not interviewed, but now, since also during synergy evaluation, PIs that are more on the Advanced Grant profile found this experience very, very important. With the Scientific Council decided to apply interviews also for Advanced Grants evaluations. So you have to consider, when you are planning the state of play and where your proposal goes beyond, you have to be clear in the scope and how is hypothesis driven. So it should be nicely integrated. Most of the ERC panel are multidisciplinary, meaning that for sure your proposal will fall within one panel. Sometimes it bridges two panels, but in this case, some experts from another panel will eventually review your proposal. At step 1, the proposals are assessed by generalists, and at step 2 by generalists and specialists. And then in the step 1 is not evaluated the methodology, but the feasibility, while at step 2, the methodology. So at the step 1, you need to give enough information in order for them to assess that the proposal is feasible, is doable, although it is high risk, high gain in nature, because one of the characteristics is that it has to be risky, but the potential risk it should be less than the potential gain. So the ratio, of course, should be clear. And what if it fails? You should have some contingency plans or risk mitigation plans. So the profile of a Consolidator grant, and this will also be explained by Caterina. I will just give you some keywords. If you are in a Consolidator grant, meaning from 7 to 12 years after your PhD, you don't need to be independent fully, but you need to show your potential for independence. So you are consolidating your career. So don't be afraid if you are still in the middle of this eligibility window from 7 to 12 years. If you have a good idea and you think you will be able to pursue this with your group, you should go for it. The ERC is meant for that. It's meant that if you have a good idea and you show that you can do it, you will get 2 million euros for 5 years, and you will have your own group, your own machines, and the PI is put at the center. of the research, and there are no priorities. It's just your idea. You have, of course, to show evidence of somehow scientific maturity, and this is a condition that is very important. You have to have a few publications without the participation of your PhD advisor, meaning that you need to have acquired somehow a degree of independence, not fully, but in the potential too. So you have to have a promising track record of early achievements. Well, for the advanced grant profile, you have to be, are you already, you have to ask yourself, are you already a leader in the field? Do you have already a record of significant research achievements in the past 10 years, and that a brilliant idea in order to pursue the advanced grant adventure? This is meant for leaders and mentors in their field, and of course, the PIs are evaluated in the context of their field. So the output of the research is also related to that. I will give you some reasons for rejection now. So sometimes the research project is rejected because either is too narrow or too unfocused, or is not really addressing a question that is groundbreaking, or you're maybe it's a natural continuation of your research, where the ERC doesn't want that, wants a different question. I wants a new question. And of course, again, as I said, for Consolidator and Advanced, but also for starting, it's one PI and one research project. You can rely, of course, on collaboration, because you need some sort of expertise, or you need some sort of data, and you have to rely on that. But you need to consolidate everything by yourself. It's at the center, as I said, the PI, the principal investigator, the researcher, as at the center of the project, together with the project. So, and reasons for rejecting also, they can be for the research project, as I said, but also for the principal investigator. Maybe he can have or she can have an insufficient track record, or an insufficient potential for independence for starting or a consolidator. And in an interview, sometimes the questions are vaguely addressed, meaning, yeah, you didn't answer to the question, or you're not convincing them that your own idea is really groundbreaking, or there is sometimes lack of preliminary results. So during the interview, sometimes researchers show in a smaller scale that their research can have a potential for groundbreaking, or maybe sometimes a similar work is published at the same time, or there are some unaddressed issues. And now some rumors. Sorry, I'm going over time, but I think it's important to also show some myth busters. So the first rumor that it's quite widespread, you can only apply for an ERC if you're a highly accomplished scientist, if you're a star, and no. No, absolutely not. And I've shown and I've seen many researchers that were not accomplished, but the accomplishment are of course appreciated in relation to your stage, but what you need to show is your capacity to conduct the research, and what is your creativity. And this you can show it through the proposal, and not only necessarily with your accomplishments. And the second rumor is, to be successful, you need to continue on an established research line to prove continuity and credibility. And this is totally totally the opposite. The proposal needs to be groundbreaking in nature. So the research question has a value, and also the hypothesis has a value. So the opposite is true. They are not looking for incremental research. They are not looking for more of the same research. And the third rumor is that the more socially or medically relevant a grant proposal is, the higher the chances of get it funded. No, because ERC is totally bottom up. So we fund frontier research, not research that promise to be an advancement of knowledge. This is really respective to the field. If you have a brilliant idea and is in astronomy, you could just go for it. We don't have really priorities that are settled by policymakers. So ERC, as I said, is frontier, is groundbreaking, but is also applied. And don't forget that frontier research can be applied. So if you have something applied and you have an idea that can be potentially applied, go for it. The budget that is given to Consolidator and starting and distributed among the scientific panels and in function of demand. So if a panel has a lot of application, it will get more budget. The panel descriptors do not represent ERC priorities, and this I stressed, doesn't have to fall necessarily within a panel descriptor. It needs to be a good idea, and those panel descriptors are just for your help in order to better address the proposal to the best panel for the evaluation. And for Consolidator, don't wait for the very last year of the eligibility window. You know, in Consolidator we have 7 to 12 years eligibility window past your PhD. This eligibility window, don't wait the 12th year. If you have a good idea and you're 7 years past your PhD, go for it. And if you don't pass, you have the chance to reapply in the future. If you have only, if you apply when you are at the 12th year after your PhD, you will have only one chance. Again, publication record is not anymore decisive in the selection decisions. And I've seen many researchers get an ERC that made it in relation to other with a publication record that was more impactful, but in another field in which, of course, the scientific production is more prolific. So it really depends on the field. And the host institution also is very important. It's not an evaluation criterion. They are not looking at where you come from. They are looking at what you have to give. So you have to find some information, and I'm sure if you go on YouTube and you look for ERC classes, I'm sure you will find a few colleagues of mine that will give you very important information and very nicely explained on a YouTube video. And then if you want to get inspired and see the projects that have been granted, you can look at the ERC website and get inspired by the many projects that we have. Here we have the deadlines now, what we have for the 2023. As the Consolidator is now open. Advanced also is open. For starting grant, unfortunately, it's now over the 2023. There will be for sure a 2024 starting grant call. And then, as you can see, proof of concept has many deadlines. So if you get a grant, then you can also apply for a proof of concept quite easily. And unfortunately, for synergy grant, now the time has passed. So again, here, if you want to get more information, there are a few information here in this slide. Follow on the several social media. You will get so many information. And thank you for your attention, and sorry for being over time.
Thank you, dear Giuliano. You had absolutely brilliant presentation with a lot of tips and very important information for the scientists about the Consolidator and Advanced Grant. Thank you once again. ეხლა მინდა ქალბატონ ნუნუ მიცკევიჩს ვთხოვო მიესალმოს ჩვენ საზოგადოებას.
მადლობა ეკა, thank you Giuliano for your presentation. It's very helpful for us and for our scientific society, and I hope that our young scientists and this new generation will be really motivated. Thank you for your practical advising, and I hope that not only young generation but our successful scientists also will be motivated by your presentation. So thank you for your support and being with us today and generally. Thank you.
Thank you.
მოგესალმებით, ძალიან დიდი მადლობა მაქსიმალურად გულისხმობით გუსმენდი და ესეთი იშვიათია რომ ასე დაწვრილებით ჩვენი ასე ვთქვათ ევროკავშირის მხრიდან ამ შემთხვევაში ბატონი ჯულიანოს კალცი დეტალურად გაძლევთ ინფორმაციას და რჩევებს და ეს ადამიანები თანამშრომლებიან იმისთვის რომ ჩვენი ქვეყნის სამეცნიერო სივრცე იყოს წარმატებული იმ კონკრეტულარიან ასე ვთქვათ რეალობაში რომელიც ნამდვილად მხარდაჭერილი არის როგორც ჩვენი სახელმწიფოს მხრიდან ასევე ევროკავშირის მხრიდან. ეს ხელმოწერები სამინისტროს მხრიდან იქნება თუ მთავრობის მხრიდან არ არის მხოლოდ ხელმოწერები ჩარჩენილი ასე ვთქვათ დოკუმენტებში და ბიუროკრატიის დონეზე არ არის გაჩერებული, როგორც მოგეხსენებათ მოწოდებულია თითოეულ ადამიანამდეა მოტანილი და თითოეულ მეცნიერამდეა მოტანილი, არათუ გაჩერებული თუნდაც ინსტიტუციის დონეზე. ამიტომ ძალიან ვთხოვთ რომ გაითვალისწინოთ ყველა ის რჩევა რომელიც არის როგორც ევროკავშირის მხრიდან დღეს გაზიარებული, ასევე მოვისმენთ ქალბატონი ეკატერინე სანაიას მიერ დღეს ასევე პრეზენტაციას და ხელმისაწვდომობის შესახებ იქნება დეტალურად ყველა საფეხური ასევე გაზიარებული. მე მინდა ჰორიზონტ ევროპის ოფისს მადლობა გადაუხადო გულისხმობ ნაციონალურ ეროვნულ ოფისს ესეთი სასარგებლო საინფორმაციო დღეების გამართვისთვის და ჩვენ იმისთვის არ ვართ დღეს რომ მადლობები ვიხადოთ ნამდვილად ჩვენ ვაფასებთ მათ ჩართულობას და მათ ესეთ მაღალ პროფესიულად მოწოდებულ ინფორმაციას და დამერწმუნეთ რომ თან ერთად ჩვენ მზად ვართ რომ გაკეთდეს ხარისხიანი განაცხადები, სადაც გიჭირდებათ ჩვენი ჩართულობა, ჩვენ მზად ვართ მხარდაჭერისთვის. მოგეხსენებათ რომ რუსთაველის ეროვნული სამეცნიერო ფონდი ახალგაზრდა მეცნიერებისთვის ეროვნულ დონეზე ჩვენ სწორედ მაქსიმალურად ვუჭერთ მხარს საგრანტო კონკურსებში, ასევე ახალგაზრდა მეცნიერების ჩართულობის და მე ვიცი რომ დღეს ჩვენთან არიან ამ საგრანტო კონკურსებში წარმატებული ახალგაზრდები და ასევე ჩვენთან არიან რომელთათვისაც გახსნილია და დღეს ახსნილია და დეტალურად იქნება ჩაშლილი ინფორმაცია იმ ფონის შესახებ რომლებიც ახალგაზრდებისთვის არის ხელმისაწვდომი და ამასთან ერთად ჩვენი გამორჩეული მეცნიერები, წარმატებული მეცნიერები, რომლებიც დარწმუნებული ვარ რომ აი ამ გამორჩეულ წარმატებულ როგორც ჩვენ ვუძახით აი ამ advance grant-ებს ნამდვილად განაცხადებს გავაკეთებთ და იქნებით წარმატებულები და ეს ჩვენი მთელი ჩართო პროგრამის 95.9 მილიარდი ევრო ძალიან ხშირად რო ვიმეორებ ხოლმე ეს იხარჯება და თანდათან აკლდება ამ ყულაბასაც და ჩვენ გვინდა რომ ეს ყულაბას დააკლდეს ჩვენი ქვეყნის ხარჯზეც და რეალურად ჩვენს ქვეყანაში წამოვიდეს ეს გრანტები და ამით ჩვენს მეცნიერებს ჰქონდეთ მაღალი ხელფასი საგრანტო დაფინანსებიდან, ჰქონდეთ შესაძლებლობა რომ განაახლონ ინფრასტრუქტურა, ჰქონდეთ შესაძლებლობა რომ გააზიარონ ყველა ის მონაცემები, რაც მეთოდოლოგია იქნება თუ ეს იქნება უკვე მიღწეული შედეგები, გააზიარონ თანამშრომლობით საერთაშორისო კონსორციუმებში და ყველა ის შესაძლებლობა, რომელსაც მათ აძლევს დღეს როგორც ეროვნულ დონეზე სახელმწიფო, ასევე რაც თქმა უნდა, ევროკავშირის ჩართო პროგრამები მაქსიმალურად იყოს გამოყენებული. მე არ შემიძლია არ მივესალმოდა, მადლობა არ გადავუხადო ბატონ სანდრო შელეგეს, რომელიც დღეს როგორც ვიცი, ფიზიკურადაც კი რუსთაველის ეროვნულ სამეცნიერო ცენტრში იმყოფება. ეს არის საუკეთესო მაგალითი არა მხოლოდ მისი წარმატების, არამედ ჩვენი დიასპორის წარმატების და მე მინდა გითხრათ, რომ მას როგორც ახალგაზრდა მეცნიერს თვითონ ისაუბრებს თავისი გრანტის აღიზიარებს თავისი წარმატებამდე გავლილ გზასაც იმედია და მოგვიყვება თავისი საგრანტო პროექტის შესახებ, რომელიც სწორედ ERC-ის სივრცეშია დაფინანსებული და მე მინდა გითხრათ, რომ ჩვენ ძალიან აქტიურად თანამშრომლობთ და კიდევ უფრო აქტიურ ეტაპზე გადავდივართ ჩვენ სამეცნიერო დიასპორასთან თანამშრომლობის. მოგეხსენებათ, რომ ჩვენს ქვეყანას დღეს ესე ვთქვათ პირველი თაობის ემიგრანტები, ანუ ჩვენივე თანაკურსელები, ჩვენივე კათედრებიდან წასული ადამიანები, ჩვენივე სამეცნიერო კვლევითი ინსტიტუტებიდან უცხოეთში გადასული ადამიანები არიან ძალიან წარმატებული და ძალიან მაღალ რეიტინგულ უნივერსიტეტებში არიან, როგორც ევროპის, ისე ამერიკის და სხვადასხვა მატერიკებზე, ასე ვთქვათ, შესაბამისად ჩვენი მხრიდან საქართველოს განათლებისა და მეცნიერების სამინისტროში ცალკე სამმართველოც კი ჩამოყალიბდა დიასპორასთან ურთიერთობის, რომელიც აქტიურად თანამშრომლობს საგარეო საქმეთა სამინისტროს შესაბამისი დიასპორის მხარდაჭერის სტრუქტურებთან და ჩვენ ვაძლიერებთ ჩვენი დიასპორის ჩართულობას სამეცნიერო გრანტებში. ამიტომ გთხოვთ, რომ კიდევ ერთხელ გადახედოთ ეს სამეგობრო წრეს, თქვენს კოლეგებს, რომლებიც არიან უცხოეთში და დარწმუნებულები იყავით, რომ ისინი ნამდვილად არ დაგზარდებიან და ისინი გამონახავენ დროს. ჩვენს დიასპორას ყველაზე კარგად ესმის ჩვენი საჭიროებები, მათ ზუსტად იციან სად ვართ და რა გვჭირდება ჩვენივე უცხოელ კოლეგებთან შედარებით. ამიტომ ეს არის რესურსი, რომელიც არის განძი ჩვენთვის და ეს ტვინების გადინება, რაც ხდება ფიზიკური გადაადგილების გამო ჩვენი ქვეყნიდან და უთხოვურ კონსორციუმებში ჩართულობა, ჩვენ ეს მაქსიმალურად უნდა გამოვიყენოთ. დღეს ონლაინ ჩართვები იძლევა საშუალებას, რომ თქვენ შეხვიდეთ მათთან კოლაბორაციაში. ჩვენ აი ზუსტად წინა კვირაში გქონდა საუკეთესო მაგალითი თანამშრომლობის საგარეო სამინისტროსთან, საგარეო საქმეთა სამინისტროს პროექტით. დიასპორამ ლექციები წაუკითხა, ეს არის პლატფორმას ფიჩი და ჩვენმა 12 მეცნიერმა, რომლებიც ჩვენთვისაც ახალი სახეებია, ჩვენ სტუდენტებს ტემის მიმართულებით ძალიან საინტერესო ლექციები შესთავაზეს ინოვაციების, მეწარმეობის თვალსაზრისით, რაც ძალიან საინტერესო ცოდნაა ჩვენი იდეების კომერციალიზაციისთვის, რომელიც ასე გვჭირდება და ამ ადამიანებმა ეს გზა გაიარეს და გვიზიარებენ ამ გამოცდილებას. მე ამიტომ ძალიან დიდ მადლობას ვუხდი ბატონ სანდრო შელეგიას ჩვენთან ყოფნისთვის და მე დარწმუნებული ვარ, რომ გვყავს ასეთი წარმატებული ჩვენი დიასპორის წარმომადგენლები და ძალიან გთხოვთ, რომ თქვენი ინდივიდუალური კავშირები გამოიყენოთ იმისთვის, რომ მათი ჩართულობა ისინი მზად არიან, რომ ჩვენს ქვეყანას მოახმარონ თავისი დროის გარკვეული ნაწილი, ნამდვილად არ დაგზარდებიან და ვისაც აქვს ამის мотиваცია და ვისაც აქვს ამის დიდი სურვილი, თქვენივე დარგების შიგნით ძალიან გთხოვთ, რომ ეს ფორმატი გამოიყენოთ, ამის შესაძლებლობას გაძლევთ რუსთაველის სამეცნიერო ფონდით, რომელიც თანამემამულეთა მონაწილეობით, როგორც მოგეხსენებათ, სთავაზობს საგრანტო კონკურსებს და შეგიძლიათ, რომ იქაც თქვენ წარადგინოთ ჩვენს თანამემამულეებთან ერთად, უცხოეთში მოღვაწე თანამემამულეებთან ერთად საგრანტო პროექტები და ესეც ერთ-ერთი საშუალება იქნება თქვენი კონსორციუმების გაფართოების, რომელიც შემდგომ საერთაშორისო ეტაპზე ერთ-ერთი საფეხური, რომ კიდევ უფრო წარმატებულად გავაფართოვოთ ჩვენი თანამშრომლობა უცხოეთთან. ბევრ დროს არ დავიკავებ, ისე რომ მადლობას ვუხდი კიდევ ერთხელ და წარმატებას ვუსურვებ ჰორიზონტის ოფისს და იმედი მაქვს, რომ ეს ჩართულობა, რომელიც საკმაოდ მაღალია, 50 ადამიანის მონაწილეობა და 50-ზე მეტის ეს იმის დასტურია, რომ ნამდვილად აინტერესებთ და ხომ უკვე რა თქმა უნდა უკვე გადავდივართ ჩვენ ინდივიდუალურ კონსულტაციებზე, ქალბატონ ეკატერინე სანაიას, ქალბატონ მარიამ ქებულიას ვთხოვ, რომ თანდათანობით უკვე ჩვენ შევალთ ინსტიტუციებში და როდესაც იქნება საჭიროება ინდივიდუალურ კონსულტაციებზე ძალიან ისეთივე გულდასმით გავუწევთ დაინტერესებულ ჯგუფებს, როგორც ეს ხდება ონლაინ შეხვედრებზე. დიდი მადლობა კიდევ ერთხელ. მადლობა და წარმატებულ და საინტერესო დღეს გისურვებთ.
დიდი მადლობა ქალბატონო მოსალმებისათვის. იმედია Horizon Office გააგრძელებს იგივე ენთუზიაზმით, იგივე ძალისხმევით ჩვენი მეცნიერების მხარდაჭერას Horizon-ის მიმართულებით და მიაღწევს არაერთ წარმატებას. კიდევ ერთხელ დიდი მადლობა. ეხლა 10 წუთიანი შესვენება ზუსტად 4-15 წუთზე დავბრუნდეთ და გავაგრძელოთ ჩვენი სესია.